Welcome to NLP with Jacci and Lou. I'm Lou Lagan.
And I'm Jacci Wright.
And today we are going to be talking about one of the presuppositions of NLP, one of our favourites.
Yes.
Although, truth be known, they're all our favourites.
All of them.
And this one is that behind every behaviour lies a positive intention. And that could be quite a tricky one.
It is a tricky one, yes.
How did you feel, Jacci, when you first came across that when you were doing your NLP practitioner?
Kind of like, what? I don't know what you mean. What do you mean behind every behaviour there's a positive intention? No, don't get that. Say it to me another dozen times. I still won't get it. And it did take a while for me to work out what it was actually talking about, even though we were talking about it quite a bit. Behind every behaviour there's a positive intention.
And it was that first step, isn't it, to acknowledge that, oh, actually, yes, there is intention behind a behaviour. Because we just do things. We
just do it.
We don't necessarily recognise that there is an intention that lies behind it.
Yeah, because it's an unconscious intention. It's not something we're thinking about. We just do. We don't realise that there's something behind it to make us do it.
And even consciously, it's not something that we plan. You know, I'm going to do this because I've got this lovely positive intention that's behind it. It tends to be after the fact, doesn't it? And we'll have all had those situations where, well, I meant well.
Yeah, and how many times do you go, why did I do that?
Yeah. And we think about it when we first establish in our heads that, okay, there is an intention behind a behaviour, and we're adopting this useful belief that it's a positive one, but we're not talking about what it is out there. We're talking about that intention in here for us.
Yeah.
And that was the big block for me initially, was looking at it in the way that I would look at, well, I meant well, and considering that intention being towards somebody else.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's the intent of the behaviour for us.
Yes.
And that was the shift for me. So you said that, like, there is an intention behind behaviour. Okay, I can grasp that. But then the next step for me was, it's not out there. It's not towards other people. It's about that behaviour that I'm demonstrating serves some helpful purpose for me.
Yes.
Now, the behaviour may not be helpful for me.
No, it could be really destructive at the end of the day. The behaviour can be really destructive. Case in point, biting nails. You know, you can be a nail biter. And I've got a sister-in-law who used to bite her nails mercilessly. They'd be really, really bitten down, and they'd look so painful.
Yeah.
And I'd be thinking, why? She didn't even like biting her nails. It wasn't something that she really wanted to do. And when you apply this presupposition, it means that although it's destructive for her, the intention for her is a positive one. And the way I think about it is it's a benefit to her. It benefits her in some way. She's getting something out of it that means that biting her nails gives her something that it's a net benefit for her.
Yeah. And that doesn't necessarily even translate consciously, does it? It could be a net benefit, but she's not necessarily conscious of that benefit,
because she wouldn't even really know what the benefit was, except that whatever it is, she's doing it because it benefits her in some way. Now, whether that's something that makes her feel calm or in control or whatever it might be, she's not consciously thinking that. The unconscious mind's working this. The unconscious mind's in charge of it, and it's allowing her to have that behaviour because at some point it is of benefit to her.
And that's the thing, isn't it, that this isn't something that's at the conscious level. It's not something that we're consciously aware of. So as a coach, I have no idea what the positive intention is behind a client's behaviour for them. I mean, I could hazard a guess based on years of experience, because it generally comes down to similar things. I won't do that because I need to know specifically for them what it is. Now, how do I then find out? Because I don't know, and I'm not a mind reader, and they don't consciously know. But we can help them work through it to understand what is that highest intention that's driving this behavior. What is it that they're getting out of it? And when we can do that, we can help them find something that's more helpful, a more helpful behavior that still satisfies that intention.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get the same benefit.
Everybody happy.
Same benefit, but a behavior that's more useful.
Yeah. And the thing that created a lot of discussion and I think has on any course I've been on, attended, delivered, observed, has been around accountability and responsibility.
Yes.
Because it can easily be interpreted as a bit of a get out of jail free card.
Oh, yeah.
Well, my intention was positive. I had the highest positive intention. No, you behaved like a complete and utter. Now, again, it's when we're thinking about that intention being out there towards somebody else. Even if you've got somebody in your group, in your team, who's being destructive in their behavior to the rest of the team, unhelpful in their behavior to the rest of the team, when you look at them and adopt this belief, that changes how you view that situation. Doesn't change them, but it changes how you view it. And it allows you to react in a more helpful way.
Yeah. Because we know what it's like if you're working with people and you don't actually choose those people. You're in no position to choose who you work with at the end of the day. And yes, we've all come across people who can be very, very difficult to work with because their behaviours are just not good for either yourself or for anybody else, and especially in a team. And the first thing that happens, certainly for me, when I'm working around people like that, is you think you don't want to have anything to do with them. You avoid them.
Yeah.
You don't include them. Is that useful in a business context? No, because basically putting us to our most minimalist part in that business, we're all resource. We're all there for a reason. We're all there to do a job. And if in your team you exclude somebody because of their behaviours, you are diminishing your resource.
Absolutely.
And that person can have an awful lot to give. But because and it's not always their behaviour continuously, sometimes it's just something they do in a particular context. If you withdraw yourself from that, using that resource in your team, you're diminishing your resource, you're diminishing your team.
So it is almost cutting off your nose to spite your face, isn't it?
It totally is. Yeah, because it totally is. So it's not useful at the end of the day.
Yeah. And there's a lot of judgment tied up in it.
Huge amount of judgment.
Which is,
we do a lot of mind reading.
I'm not putting anybody out for that because I've been there, I've done it. I absolutely. Before NLP, I would have been there, probably on both sides of the coin with this one.
I'm sure I'm irritated people myself.
Well, some of us more than others. But it changes how you react to that person because it removes the judgment, because it allows you to look at them in a way that's, okay, for them, they are getting something out of this behavior. It's serving a need, it's serving a purpose for them. Now, how can I help them to find a more helpful way to serve that purpose?
Yeah.
And that may start as just having a chat. You know, it can just start as the water cooler chat.
Yeah.
How are things going? What's happening? And, you know, just building that rapport up again. And when we do that, because we haven't closed ourselves off, because we haven't excluded them, it's just extending that, not even an olive branch, really, just extending that community to make sure that they know that they're part of it and that they can still contribute. It doesn't mean that you're excusing the behaviour.
No, they're still accountable for their behaviour.
You still need to tackle that behaviour.
Especially if it's affecting a lot of people.
Absolutely. And that conversation may be around, you know, were you aware that this is what you did and said and how you said it and how it came across? Well, what's going on then? What's behind that?
Yeah.
Because actually they may not have even realised.
9 times out of 10, in my experience, when you approach somebody and bring about some awareness of their behaviour that isn't particularly useful, they are not aware. They are literally not aware, because usually as human beings, we don't deliberately behave in a way that upsets others.
Yeah. Well, nobody comes
to do a bad job,
do we?
Yeah. And the other good thing about this particular presupposition is that it allows you to manage your own personal state as well. So not only do you feel more compassion for the other person, it means instead of getting all tensed up and irate and something my mum says about my dad all the time is, he's driving me up the wall. It's that kind of like, why would you want to be driven up the wall all the time? Managing your own personal state in that means that you can then be more open to thinking creatively about what's going on with that person.
And I think as well, if you consider how often, whilst we're way up the wall, clinging on, we're probably now doing the cat claws scratching down the blackboard as we try to cling on. That's when we decide now would be a good time to tackle the behaviour. Hold them accountable. And when we can manage our response to that, and when we can adopt this helpful belief, put that on, try it on for size, and look at the situation and say, okay, I'm in control of how I'm responding to this, so I'm not personalizing it. I'm looking at it objectively. I'm in a much more helpful state to tackle the behavior and hold them accountable for that, but also use it as a means to establish if there's something else going on that they need help with, that I could help with, or that I need to be aware of.
Yeah. And in a business context, perfect. And it works even better for your own personal relationships, because although you can't choose the people you work with, you simply as well can't choose the people you're related to.
Yeah.
So when you're in those positions where that togetherness and that rapport needs to happen, then this absolutely helps you be in a much more useful state.
And there may be
instead of being driven up the wall.
Yeah, there may be times, and I have had them where I've had to recite the presupposition like a little mantra in my head to help me manage that response. Behind every behaviour, there's a positive intention. Behind every behaviour, there's okay. Let's see how we can build some bridges here and see what's really going on.
It's one of those presuppositions that really speaks to one of the core central things in NLP, which is we can't change others, we can only change ourselves.
But when we change ourselves, miraculously,
everybody else changes. It's like a miracle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a great presupposition, and it's got so many benefits. At the same time, absolutely, poor behaviour, it's not a get out of jail free card for poor behaviour. Certainly not for ourselves, and absolutely not for others that we see with poor behaviour.
Because we're still responsible for our behaviour.
Yeah.
That's still our choice. And if it's helpful to be angry in that moment, if it's helpful to vent in that moment, then that's fine. It's when it's not helpful, that it becomes an issue. And sometimes we need to have that moment to vent, but the control element for ourselves comes in choosing where and when I'm going to do that.
Yeah,
it's going to be the most effective for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When it's a conscious choice.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I look back over, well, not say how many years, because I've already been asked the age next birthday question today. I'm a bit distressed. It's a cool question. So if I look back over the years, and I can see so many situations where this presupposition just jumps up in neon lights now, that would have enabled me to deal with that situation in a much more helpful way.
Yeah.
Whether it's, relationships with friends, family, particularly at work, when I moved into supervising, managing, it just would have made such a difference.
Yes. Before I learned NLP, I was certainly one of those that was quick to judge and condemn, quick to judge and condemn, and felt very self-righteous about it as well.
Well, you've got to polish your hair there a long way.
Absolutely, yes, I was. You know, as if I was the only person that was noticing that everybody else was wrong, and I was absolutely great. Before I learned NLP and these presuppositions, and this one in particular, the amount of compassion that the presuppositions give you, the amount of control they give you, and the amount of space and time to really manage yourself.
Yeah, and this is interesting, because one of the things that I've come across from people criticizing NLP is that it's based on beliefs that aren't proven. And yeah, they're not proven, but they're helpful.
Yeah, they're just helpful. They are helpful.
Saying that they're absolutely true or not. And we know that a belief doesn't have to be true for it to be real.
It doesn't have to be true to work. It just has to be believed.
It has to be you just have to believe in it. And certainly when I first studied NLP, there was a conscious adoption of these useful beliefs.
Yeah.
There was it was like consciously putting on this NLP presupposition cloak and wearing them whilst doing NLP. But then you begin to find that actually they are quite helpful. And when I'm wearing that cloak, I'm more in control. I'm showing more compassion to myself as much as anyone else. And life just seems easier. So for me, that's enough. I don't need clinical evidence of it.
No.
I don't think anybody in NLP that I've come across has said these are absolute truths. These are the presuppositions. They are helpful beliefs whilst you carry out NLP, and it's your choice whether you adopt them in the rest of your life. But if they're helpful and you're finding benefit from them whilst doing NLP, why wouldn't you?
Exactly. And I think there's a distinction for me as well. So when I'm doing NLP, so I'm doing it with a client, or I'm teaching it, or whatever it is that I'm doing, and intentionally using the skill set, that's one thing. But actually, when I'm just out there in my everyday life and not doing NLP, these beliefs they're not just a cloak that you can put on. It's like wearing everyday comfortable underwear. basically for me, I'm wearing it all the time.
But this podcast was going to end up talking about big comfy knickers.
Big comfy knickers every day, because why would I not?
Well, this is it. And I think certainly when any of us start on an NLP journey, there is that conscious application.
Yeah, there is.
And it does just kind of get into the muscle, doesn't it? And it becomes how you live your life. It's not something you do.
Yeah.
And certainly when you're training and working with a client, then you may dial it up, but it's still unconscious behavior by this stage.
Yeah.
Well,
it happens so easily though, doesn't it? Because why would you?
Well, when you find the benefit,
useful.
When you find it so helpful and makes life so much easier, it's like, oh, right, but let's just hand that over to the unconscious to ride with that one thing.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting every now and then is to pick one of these presuppositions, these useful, helpful beliefs, and run with it consciously for a few days.
Yeah.
It's a good workout for the muscle.
It is, yeah.
And it's amazing what you then start noticing about, have I been a little bit complacent? Do I need to pay a little bit more attention to being kind to myself? Or it just helps you kind of do a little bit of an MOT on yourself.
I love that idea. Absolutely love it. I'm inspired. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to choose one for tomorrow. And
I've got visions of you now in overalls with equipment. I don't know why I'm doing this, but with equipment, I think I've got a spanner in one hand, heaven knows what in the other, and grease over your face.
You know what a practical person I am. If I start working on my own NLP, brain engine. That's it. I'm going to have my overalls on. I'm going to have my spanner and a screwdriver. I'm going to be greased up, ready to go.
Yeah. So in conclusion, that little belief, that little presupposition behind every positive intention, behind every behavior lies a positive intention, can really be so transformative.
Yeah.
In your relationships right across the board, but particularly at work. It's certainly one of the ones that I really wish I had in my toolkit when I was managing people.
Me too. I was managing people when I first learned NLP, and if I'd had it at the start of my career, I'd been much, much more tolerant of the people that I worked with around me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But we do come to these things that at the time that's right for us, don't we?
We do, absolutely. And
if it's right for you, we are offering our NLP business diploma.
Yes.
First one running in November.
Yep. So our business diploma
will be on the website. And I'm sure when Jackie has worked wonders with the video and got this up and running, links will be available.
They will be, yes. Yes, NLP in business. I cannot tell you how much it helped me. And I know, Lou, exactly the same for you. When it came to our work, NLP, meteoric.
So on that note, thank you very much. Do join us.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.